Welcome to the Freddie Potticary podcast, and it's a pleasure to have you on, Ty. And I'm really looking forward to some of the value that we're going to be sharing in this call today. So, just to kickstart, can you tell me what got you started creating content and helping people, coaching people to scale past, 5, 10, 20 calls every single month?
Man, it's a long story. I mean, I'm 27. Started entrepreneurship when I was 14. Basically, I started as a music producer. Eventually built a company called Shutdown Music to over 50K a month. We won 4 awards. We had a bunch of big, like Fortune 500 clients in the music space. And I was sending out basically a bunch of cold emails to get clients. And I disbanded the company, Shutdown Music, in November 2020. And then I just started on Twitter randomly and started just teaching everything that I learned, just building my music agency and getting clients and building systems and processes and hiring, building a culture. Got 3 million impressions in my first month on Twitter. So I guess I have some kind of knack for just writing content and did that, built my Twitter, eventually was getting 10 million impressions a month back in the summer 2021. Then I ended up getting banned. Then I
Oh,
focused on LinkedIn a little. Anyways, got really damn good at client acquisition, specifically through LinkedIn DMs and cold email. And here now, that's what I do. I have an agency, I have a coaching program where that's what we do for people, and it's been going fantastically well. Clients been killing it.
nice, nice. That's really interesting to hear that, you started because for me, I had a similar story where I'm like, if you didn't know, I'm 16. I started when I was 13, and when I was 13, I used to do game development. And obviously, when you're trying, I used to build like these like little 3D assets, and I'd sell them. Not like a whole game. I remember building them all and trying to like send messages on Discord to these developers that will buy it for like $5, and I'll spend like hours building it. So I understand the struggle, and yeah, that made me wanna obviously change. I used to run people's TikTok accounts. So I used to do videos about TikToks and trying to get like brand promotions. I ran someone's cat page to like 10,000 followers. They got like 700. One of the best views was like they got like a couple of 1 million views videos, and it was for like a brand that obviously they were promoting like other people's products. So I managed to do that, and then I started running other people's TikTok pages. Then I got like I tried to get into the agent, the trading hype and all of this stuff. And I was like, no, I need to build something authentic. So I started working for free for some bigger businesses, some other like local based businesses too, running. And then I ended up partnering with one of my business partners, Arian. So he's running like a successful SMMA. And I was like, you know what? I need to get into client acquisition. I started posting on LinkedIn about a year ago. And yeah, here I am today trying to help people do the same. But obviously, a lot of these gurus nowadays, obviously, I'm not saying like your content. I love your content every single time. It's like a fresh, like it's a nice piece of reality that like I see all of these people post like so much stuff, and you're just like, oh, you just got to do it, just post, create content. And I like the style that you create content. But yeah,
Wow, that's amazing, dude. And
yeah,
it's a beautiful thing to see. You've been like, hustling since you were 13, you said. That just
yeah,
bodes really well. Like I started when I was 14, so around the same age in the music space. And I love that. And I love how you started early and you're gonna make mistakes and be successful and make mistakes. And it's good for you to make these mistakes when you're like 16, 18, 22, 25,
yeah,
instead of making these mistakes when you're like 30, 35, 40, so much later into your life. And maybe you have kids and a family, and the stakes are much higher. So
yeah. That's
beautiful thing, dude, Freddie, that you started so young and
yeah,
already like seen a really good amount of success. And six,
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I really worked. I worked a lot, especially during lockdown. Like there was nothing else to do but play video games or work. So I was just like, let me pick one. And also, I see you previously like worked in the music industry. What made you like switch up to now the B2B sort of client acquisition space?
Purely, we just had a glass ceiling. So my company, we did music for TV and film. I mean, we have music in Fortnite. We have music in Mercedes with the Mercedes Benz, like a couple commercials, Doja Cat commercial. In the Super Bowl, it was the Rams against the Bengals. Like, I mean, we
Wow.
have music. My royalty statements are like 400 pages long every quarter. So we were doing really well, but then it's so hard to make money in music. Like we were doing well, but it's so hard. It's so politicky. It's hard to quantify your offer because it's just music. It's abstract. You can't be like, yo, I'll make 10 songs for you. You'll make $100,000. Pay me 20K. You're getting a 10x ROI or a 5x ROI.
Yeah.
So there's like a glass ceiling, and also my industry, the music for TV and film space, is really small. It's like a couple $1 billion a year. So at one point, I remember going to to these music conferences in LA and Hollywood, at the Lowe's Hotel, and I talked to like a lot of my clients, and they're like, "Yo, why are you working with all these people? Like, just come, work with us, whatever." And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to like build a business here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they got jealous because the industry's so small.
Yeah.
Um, and everyone was in one place, like 400 or 500 people at this conference. So we just had this glass ceiling and I couldn't get past it. Music is my second passion. So first is basketball, second is music, third is the LinkedIn stuff. I love that. But we just had a glass ceiling, and it's like if I want to have a big, beautiful family with a bunch of kids, like me and my girlfriend are planning on doing, um, I can't put my whole future in something that I can't grow too much and is also
Yeah.
unreliable. I don't know what's going to happen with AI music. Everyone in the
Yeah.
industry is like going crazy. So
Yeah, because everyone needs clients, but like, what? So you said about the AI like music. Are you afraid of how AI SDRs and AI appointment setters, or do you think like, no, that's not going to overtake it? Like, content has to be authentic.
am I afraid? I don't think I'm afraid. I'm trying to stay on top of the game. So I mean, I'm trying
Yeah,
to put myself in the best position to capitalize on it and take advantage of it. The thing is, I think the way we do DMs is so personalized. It's so
yeah,
specific. It's so like it's not like a copy paste bullshit script that I'm not really worried about it. Like if anything, we could take advantage of the AI and apply
yeah.
it into our workflow and stuff like that. But am I scared? No, I wouldn't say I'm scared. I'm definitely like keeping the pulse on it.
Yeah, you're making
Being
sure
more and more
sort of
of our
like,
workflow.
yeah, that's in your workflow. That's same with me. I find that you got to be very hyper personalized, especially when you're doing DMs too. So that makes sense. But just like curiosity, how many people have you worked with just in total for like the people that you're coaching at the moment? How many are you working with?
I have like 18 people in my coaching program right now. We launched in like mid-July. I launched everything over the summer. So I took like a year and a half off work from like April 2022 to like February 2024. So maybe 20, what, a year and 10 months, just living off my music royalties. But
Yeah,
started my agency late April and started the coaching program mid-July. Brand new. It's been, I mean, working really, really well for everyone inside, but it's a work in progress. Like, with the coaching
yeah,
program, with the agency, there's so many moving parts. You can't really
100%.
scale everything at once. You can't do hire appointment setters and closers and build systems and get the social media
Yeah, it's
popping
it's
and
a
get
lot.
the inbound and outbound. And now we're doing follow-ups with the lead, like,
Yeah,
and
it's a lot.
fulfilling.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I understand. So I also saw one of your posts that like you drove, I think around about like 6 figures in revenue just like this summer alone. What would you say is like the biggest lesson you've learned from like these past couple of
The
months?
biggest lesson is that I was holding myself back in music for so long. Like I could have been, I mean, we're doing well, we're doing really well, but could have been so much further if I just left music earlier or even didn't do music in the first place. So you can take two people, two entrepreneurs, they have the same background, they have the same IQ, EQ, whatever. They have the same talent and skill set. One has a really good business model and a really great niche, and the other one has or is in a niche that's really tough to make money. And the first entrepreneur
Yeah,
that's in a great niche with a great business model will make 10, 50, 100x more than the other one. So it's really like you
yeah,
have to choose your niche and business model so, so, so carefully so it's incredibly scalable.
yeah.
Luckily, like I said, I was young. I was 14 when I started in music, so I could afford to make those mistakes.
Yeah. But
Um,
then I wouldn't say it was more of a mistake because think about it. If you didn't learn the lessons that you learned when you're in the music industry, you wouldn't be where you are now. But that is also an
very true.
alternative that like you could have done a lot more. But I think like for
Very
me,
true.
I find that I never look at the past. I always look at the future. My next step, what am I going to do next? I think that's really important. But it looks like you're crushing it. So I wouldn't say like I'd say like you're doing really, really great. And I feel like a lot of gurus out there, like personal brand gurus, stuff like that, you talk about like, oh, they watch one course and they just go and start. And I find that like you're the opposite. You have that edge that like you've actually started from when you're young, and now you've got and done all of these different mistakes that you can then go and say like, look, like this is how you do it. This is how you can skip past all of these mistakes. But what was the biggest mistake you had, and how did you actually learn from that?
Man, biggest mistake that I made. So I was like stuck in, how you grow up, your conditioning, your patterning. I was programmed in a certain way to behave a certain way and act and think and feel a certain way. So I didn't know there was a way out of that. But what's helped me a lot in my life, in my business, like literally everything. like taking spirituality and God seriously. And knowing that there is a higher power and knowing that you have control over your minds and not letting the intrusive thoughts win. And you know that your thoughts govern your feelings and actions, and you're self-sabotaging all the time. If you had, um, just different feedback in your childhood, your parenting, your environment, your traumas, your beliefs that were given to you, none of this stuff you actually filtered through anything. You're a child, right? You just take it all and it's all fact and it's all true. And you're not second guessing. You're not like, why is mom so mad? Why is dad so sad right now? Why is he feels like guilty right now? And you're not like rationalizing it. So you just like kind of model your parents' behaviors and you take everything, not with a grain of salt, but with the whole damn salt shaker. And you take it to believe, you believe it is true. And then you become this person that's not really the divine you. I don't know how much you know about this, but this stuff. But I would have taken the spirituality stuff and the God, like in God, way more seriously early on.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna raise my kids like that,
Yeah, I
and
think
that
that's the right way.
impacts every aspect of your life and business, like directly. Letting
Yeah.
go of triggers, overcoming them, conquering your mind, being close to God,
Yeah.
living in God's righteous path, like that stuff is the foundation of everything, truly, in
Yeah,
my
I 100%
eyes.
believe you there. Yeah, because for me, I was a Christian. I'm a Christian now, and I believe a lot of God, but I also believe in like always changing and having like a open mind, like your open paradigms. Like your paradigms aren't just set. And I find that a lot of people, their whole beliefs and everything is just shut down and closed to this one thing, and they think, oh, this is the only way, this is the only way. But then they don't ever like explore multiple options. And that's the one thing that I
Right.
felt that like before when I looked at all of these other people saying, oh, you can make money doing this. Before I was very closed off and I was thinking, nah, you can't, you have to go get a job, stuff like that, because that's what you get taught when you're younger. But then when I found that, like, I see people online making like 6, 7 figures by not doing that, not going that route, I was like, yeah, I've got to do it. So I 100% agree. And also for me, I find that like everything happens for a reason. And with God, like it tests you. Like you can't be picking up the phone and scrolling. You got to be going and actively doing something that's going to benefit you, not just now, but in the long run, but also not just for you, but your family and just your whole mental self. Because I feel that like the mind, obviously, that's your biggest power, that's your biggest real estate. Everyone thinks it's connections, money, and just people who or like being physically strong. It's none of that. Because if you do not have a strong mindset and you do not have good willpower, you're just not going to succeed. And people don't understand that because I feel like a lot of people think, oh, it's pretty cliche saying, oh, like you gotta have a good mind, but not many people actually understand what it's like. Not just it's all of these different aspects. So yeah, 100% agree with you about it being orientated around God and being spiritual. Because obviously, if you don't have balance, you're not going to actually be able to succeed. Like if you're
Right.
working, really, really like work, but you don't actually prioritize God too, you're not going to get as far because you're not going to have that belief, that self transcendence, if that makes sense.
Dude, totally. And I love that you're all about that. And God and following God gives you control over your life. Like people think, oh, religion and all these rules and whatever. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff in religion, in my eyes, just because man went into religion and they corrupted some of it and they put their own little spin on it, does not take away from God and the actual like godly teachings, the unfiltered godly teachings of that religion. Like, yes, men are going to come in and they're going to filter stuff and they're going to add stuff and remove stuff. That's not good. You should be able to, like, what I've really realized in my life and been able to do, and I want to keep getting better at doing that, discerning things for myself. So having not just taking everything, oh, I'm a Christian, so this, or I'm Jewish, so this is true, or Muslim, like, okay, God is above identity in my eyes. God is above. So being able to experience things and being like, okay, is this getting me closer to God or is this moving me away from God? And being able to like really feel that in your heart and you know what a connection to God feels like, and it feels so good. And knowing what it feels like and being able to discern that for yourself instead, because if you're not doing that, you're being told what's good, you're being told what's bad, you're being
Yeah.
told what's a connection. And a lot of stuff, man comes in there and they corrupt it. So a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
you may receive and think is good and think is, if you can't discern it for yourself, you need to truly know what that is, connection to
Yeah.
God. Then you're gonna get fed a lot of stuff that's not exactly the best. And now it's going to impact your life because you're going to feel it's true and you're going to go take action on that.
Yeah, that's pretty deep. But yeah, so obviously I wanna get more into obviously like providing value for some of the people watching as well. In like more of like the LinkedIn side. So obviously I know you have your coaching course. For anyone out there that's interested in obviously signing clients through LinkedIn, what's the A to Z guide that you typically teach on LinkedIn League?
The A to Z guide is basically three-pronged, man. So it's profile content DMs. I don't focus on building a massive personal brand and getting 10,000 followers a month. First of all, that's more of a long-term strategy, 6 to 12
Yeah.
months. Second of all, it takes 2 to 3 hours a day of effort. You need to build relationships with influencers, comments,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Do 7 posts a week, if not 2 posts a day, 14 a week.
Yeah.
What I do is I have a different strategy. Like, let's set up your profile. Let's make it look incredible. Take advantage of every little single piece of real estate and make it super intentional in terms of building trust with your target clients. Let's put out anywhere from 2 to 5 posts a week. We go out and we nurture your target audience. We don't try to blow up your brand. It's content for me, for what I teach, for what I execute on my agency is a supplemental strategy. 30 minutes, 60 minutes a week, max. We go out, we automate 200 connection requests every single week. We aim to get a 40 to 60% connection request accepted rate. If you do the math, that's 80 to 120 conversations every single week, or 80 to 120 connection requests accepted every single week. We go out and we DM every single person. And we do it in a way where it's just like incredibly optimized. And we say the best thing to say in the best place to say it. Every time we get a reply, we say the best thing to move that conversation towards a call. With our initial series of DMs, before they even reply, we try to say the best thing that's going to get the highest reply rate, the highest call booked rate. Because the thing is, not every reply is built the same, and not every call is
Yeah.
booked the same. You need to pre-frame yourself properly as a hyper relevant person to that prospect, as someone that's cool, as someone that's connecting, as someone that's non-needy, as someone that's outcome independent, as someone that's leading with value and prioritizing giving value rather than making a sale.
Yeah.
And if the next logical step of that relationship, of that conversation, is you jumping on a call and is you signing them as a client, then that's just what happens, right? It's
Yeah.
not like I'm trying to push you or anything like that. Actually, a good strategy is to make it seem like it's their idea to jump on a call, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, so that's what we try to do. And I mean, typically 40 to 60% connection request accepted rate, 20 to 35% reply rate. One out of every 10 to 15 people we DM, we end up booking on a call across a bunch of different
Wow. Yeah.
niches. Yeah,
That's yeah, wow, that's really impressive. And I mean, like, I
appreciate it.
can't believe like that value there. Like, if you're watching this right now, that was in amazing value. And for me, I find that yeah, yeah, that's a lot of like stuff. I know you're talking about like sending out cold, but then you turn. Even though there's no relevant connection, you find a connection, you optimize it. And I really like that. Like, I find that a lot of people think, or there are some people that think, like, I'm always open-minded even when I teach people, I don't. So I find that with me, there's all of these different gurus. Like there's some people that say, oh, only DM if they're warm, only do lead magnets, only funnel them into a newsletter, do this, do this. And I'm open to all of that. So for me, I just teach the whole thing. So I just say like, try all of this stuff, see what works for you. Because obviously, like I said, no niche and like every other reply is different. You book a call every single way differently. So it makes sense to try out all of this stuff and see what works the best. But yeah, that's really interesting. But for you, so you said about automating connections. What's like the go-to tech stack that you use for signing clients on LinkedIn?
It's simple, man. I try to keep it as simple as possible. Like my clients, like their profile is their landing page. So they don't even need a website. They just need Calendly. So I would say Calendly to, to book a call and the questionnaires in there. That's great. Zapier to automate stuff on the back end.
Yeah.
Close as the CRM. Gmail or some kind of email sending software. Um, what else? Kondo to manage your inbox, like $20 a month. Really good. You can put labels in, reminders, archive stuff, and like the LinkedIn inbox isn't like the best inbox to prospect
Yeah.
from. So Kondo does an incredible job of doing that.
Wow. If you weren't writing down notes there, I just wrote down myself some tech. I didn't know about that. But yeah, I learn something new every day. But yeah, that's really interesting. So, for you, how would you say like for some of the clients that you've been like, obviously working with, have they been able to find results instantly, or does it take some time? Is it just like, yeah, after you send DMs, boom, booked?
Yes, some no. So with my agency stuff, obviously we have full control over that. So within 24 to 48 hours of launching, we're booking calls, right? Because either, I mean, my appointment setter goes in and does it, and he's experienced now. I hired him 2 months back. I mean, he booked us 18 calls last week on LinkedIn. So
Wow.
he's really good at what he does at this point. So with the agency, yes, it's pretty instantaneous after we launch the profile and start connecting with people, 24 to 48 hours. With the coaching, it takes a little bit of time because my coaching clients in LinkedIn League are acquiring the skill set that I've built up over 13
Yeah.
years. So if they come in with sales experience, if they come in with a level of competence, if they come in with maybe they've done some DMing or cold email before, in terms of like having some kind of foundation to speed up the process, that's been fantastic. And typically within a week, like they're booking calls within a week, like typically 3 to 4 calls the first week. If they're taking real action, like 6, 7, 8 the next week, and 8 to 10 from
Yeah.
there. But some people it definitely takes longer because there's more of a learning
Yeah,
curve.
that makes sense.
With the coaching stuff, I don't have as much control. So it's like I'm not going to go sit there and DM for you. If you're gonna
Yeah. That's
slack
nice.
off, I mean, you paid me
Yeah.
all this money. Why do that? But I can't.
I like that you're being real because I feel like a lot of people they glorify just the, oh, my client done this, but you're actually coming on here saying like, look, some people don't make it, and I respect that. Like some people don't have that determination, and some people just won't pick it up. I like that about you that you're transparent because a lot of people on LinkedIn just won't be like that, and that's something I'd say that you gotta have.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. And it sucks to bring someone in. They paid me all this money, and like, if I bring someone in, we're gonna get them results if they take action.
Yeah,
Like, I denied a lot of people, and I could be making a lot more money if I just accepted everyone. But if I genuinely feel super confident in bringing you in, and that's the only way I would bring you in, and you come in, you don't get results, I set my coaching up to where there's something that you're doing wrong on your end. Like
yeah,
all the
that makes
inputs
sense.
from my end are gonna be there for you.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense. Do you do DMs yourself then, or do you have someone like for on like your profile?
I used to until a couple months ago where I hired a setter. And
Yeah,
now
that
he's
makes
doing
sense.
DMs for me, for my agency clients. And what I'm doing, I'm managing the setter and we're going through the DMs every day. He sends
Yeah,
me,
that makes sense.
yeah, we just go back and forth. And I'm about to hire a second setter here and,
Oh,
remove
nice.
myself a little bit. But in the terms of, I've been doing that for 13 years, DMs and cold email.
Yeah.
And then for myself and on behalf of my agency clients, I did DMs for the first 5 months for the agency and the first couple months for the coaching program. That was me.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah, that's really impressive. I get inbounds. I don't really send out cold DMs. So I do teach cold DMs and I can help people book calls with cold DMs. But I find that like I like just putting out a post a day and just talking about something, but also creating value. I enjoy not sending DMs. I rather like create a piece of content that people can watch, that people can learn from, even if they don't book a call. So that's what I like. But I also like doing DMs too, because obviously like that does get the job done at the end of the day.
For
Like it
sure.
is it is like a, you get it straight away. But just out of curiosity then, so what is like your funnel process? So like do you have it that once they've booked the call, do you send some follow-ups? What's sort of your like pattern before you actually get them to call? And once you do get a call, is it like a one call close that you aim for? Is it like a two pattern, like a discovery then a sales?
Yeah, really great question, man. So they book a call. They get a series of, I believe, 3 emails. So the first one is like right away, just, hey, confirm that you're going to show up to the call. Say yes. Just reply yes to this email. Yes. If they don't reply yes within 24 hours or a few hours even, we're emailing them back being like, yo, you know, you booked this call. Are you going to hop in? After that, I think 4 hours after that, and then maybe 8 hours after that. So I got to check. Maybe that's completely off. It might be 15 minutes after and 4 hours. I think that's the
Yeah,
cadence. They received 2 emails from me that's just like social proof, like 2 testimonials,
yeah,
and kind of teases them a little bit. And then they hop on the call, definitely a 1 call close. I mean, my coaching program's 10K. I want to spend the least time possible closing them.
yeah,
So definitely a 1 call close. Try to get them if they're a good fit. I deny a lot of people, like if they're qualified in terms of their offer, their target clients on LinkedIn, they have the time to spend, their finances are good to go.
yeah,
Obviously try to close them on the call and get paid on the call. Because if
yeah,
not,
makes
there's a big
sense.
drop off there. There's a big drop off
Yeah,
between
100%.
even if you send them the agreement, even if they're like, yo, I'll pay you, even if they're like, yo, give me a few hours, I'll pay you later today. I looked through the agreement. It doesn't matter. There's going to be at least a 30, 40% drop off if you don't get that money on the call. So I try to do that as much as I can. If they don't close, I have my CRM set up. It has like six, I think like 8 or 9 columns. And there's just like I put them in the correct column in the CRM, and then there's like a series of emails that's sent to them every once in a while for each of these columns.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
yeah, yeah. That's been really good. No
But
one books a call the day of. I want to do this more. Right now, it's just me handling the sales process. Until we have
yeah,
like 75K a month, I have an appointment setter in, but no one's on the back end after they book a call. What happens? I'm closing, I'm texting, following up. Once we have a setter in, he's going to call them as soon as possible and do a triage call and pre-qualify them. And
uh,
also, once we have a closer, he's going to call them and text them day of.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I might
Yeah.
be able to help you because there's actually so why I'm actually Filipino and there's a lot of people that outsource sort of stuff like that. I find that like some of when I started hiring obviously I my cousin he knows like a lot of people in the space that used to do stuff like the VAs, the customer support stuff like that. I find that you can go on like online jobs ph or .ph or like you can go on LinkedIn job search, just filter it to Philippines and you can literally find someone that will have like I find WhatsApp is a lot better. Then they will just add their WhatsApp to have them a call or like they'll give them a couple of texts. So you just sell them a bit by chat, give them a bit of like FOMO. So you might be like, oh, by the way, reminds me of this person that just closed this amount. And then yeah, just try to pre-qualify them, get them hyped and excited for the call. And then yeah, like it's not, and their pricing is amazing. Like typically, there's actually like they get paid like $350 a month, which is literally nothing for like typical fast food restaurants, normal stuff. So even paying them like $750, like $1,000, $500, it's a lot. So I would recommend doing that just as a little side thing because it is worth it. But yeah, anyway, so like I just want to ask then, what sort of differentiates you from like other gurus that are posting about like LinkedIn and personal branding? What differentiates you from those people that are posting on LinkedIn?
I don't like the word guru, first of all, like in terms of being labeled as that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
I just put like I'm just me, I'm just Ty. I think
Yeah, I
guru
get
has
you.
like a negative connotation on it. And I don't try to act like I know everything. I think it came what from India, right? From the Hindu
Yeah,
or,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
or like I just talk about what I know. There's a lot of things I don't know. So, but what separates me from other people? I haven't seen anyone like, and I've talked to people, a lot of people in this space, like no one knows how to DM the way we do in terms of getting the results that we get. In terms of foreshadowing value, adding value, in terms of
Yeah,
conveying spontaneity, in terms of being non-needy, outcome independent, in terms of making hyper relevant, authority building observations, social proof, plugging social proof smoothly into the DMs, in terms
yeah,
of dropping, I call it a what do you mean phrase, where
yeah,
you drop that in the DMs and your prospects are like, what does that mean? And then it opens up a runway for you to book a call,
yeah,
add value based on that. You pitch the call based on adding value and leading with value, using voice messages. Like I just haven't seen people, a lot of DMs are super formulaic and they're scripty. And I have over 20
yeah,
hours of like content in my coaching program that's just like, hey, here's how you DM. And it gets
yeah.
so granular and so specific. Like I said, 20 to 35% reply rates, booking 1 out of 10 people on a call. I haven't seen people really be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I just added that into my notes because like
The
there's value.
psychological side and how deep like we get in terms of a sub-communicative and
Yeah,
energetic basis and foundation and reverse engineering how we're
yeah,
conveying ourselves to the prospect and how they're perceiving us and working
yeah,
it back from there, knowing exactly what they're
yeah,
looking out for and giving them everything they could possibly want or need to be able to hop on a call with you and be able to go into the call with proper frame to
yeah.
close them if they're qualified. We
That
get
makes
very
sense.
granular, specific, psychological, sub-communicative. I haven't seen a lot of people do that. They're just like, hey, here's this word to say, or here's
Or
this
like
copy paste
heuristics.
script.
So like you use like heuristics and different psychological, I'd say tactics to more or less convert them, but do you use like heuristics and stuff in the profile optimization too? Because I find that I try to teach people on that side as well.
Even
Also, heuristics is basically different psychological, subconscious things that that makes you want to click. For example, if I was to send you an email saying you can get for 7 days free trial, you can literally pay my course, get my whole course for free for $1. But then after it's like $92 or whatever. That's a type of heuristic. That's an incentive-based pricing that you get it for a cheap amount at like, a small time frame. But that's the everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. And obviously they don't label it as heuristics, right? They just label it as, oh, it's incentive based. It's like it wants you to do it. It's just like a risk reversal. But there's 82 different heuristics that actually make sense in business. And this is
Wow.
literally, I've never said this before, because I've been keeping it to myself. But if you were to go and type up like different business heuristics and you were to study some of these business heuristics, and after this, I'll actually send you a list of all of these heuristics that you can apply. But if you apply these to your offer and your profile and to your DMs, because I know your DMs at the moment are amazing, right? They're like from what you're telling me, like they're very good, right? But if you were to add heuristics and using DMs with heuristics as well, just that small tweak, you would probably skyrocket those reply rates. But not just doing that, but using it on your profile. That's the most thing. Like you're using it at the moment on your profile. Book 5 to 10 sales calls a week on LinkedIn. That's a heuristic. You're
Mm,
guaranteeing them something. You're
mm,
basically saying like you can do this. But that's everyone knows that one. Everyone knows like the guarantee. Everyone knows that you get your money back, but no one knows the other 81. Some people go overboard and they'll just use like all of them, but like the very, very people that know about it. But if you use like five or six and you specifically edit those heuristics, you get 80 of them. You specifically edit 5 to 10 of those for each coaching client you have. Yeah, that's going to skyrocket.
wow.
That'll
Really
be so
cool.
much different because if you think about it, every industry is different. It's different because like I find that with construction companies, when I used to call them up, I used to do cold calling. I used to do 100 calls every day. I used to cold call and get no, no, no. And then when I started using commission and I used to say, look, I'll work for you for free. Guess what they still said? They still said no. And I was like, what? I literally said, I will work for you for free. And they said no. And then I was like, right, why is it that it's happening? And then
Mm,
I found that it's about being authoritative and knowing people and being local based. I said, hey, I live in London, so it's specifically in Bromley. I started calling up 50 local construction companies in Bromley. And I said, hey, I'm from, and I was literally just down the road, right? It was literally down the road and they knew where that was. And then I was like, hey, I'm from this. I live near you guys. And I was walking down the road and I saw that you guys were doing this. I think I might be able to help you with ads. Is there any chance that we can set up an in-person meeting? Didn't even pitch the free trial, didn't pitch the commission, just said that. And they were like, yeah, I'm interested. And I was like, what changed? Well, that was one part of the heuristic. And that's the thing. Every single industry is different. Now,
mm.
when I'm older and when I have more time, because at the moment, I think if I were to teach heuristics, no one will listen to me that much because I don't have a huge, crazy following.
Come on, that's a limiting belief, I believe.
Yeah, no, but I want to build it up. You know what I mean? Like before I give out that value, before I give out
People
everything,
listen to you, dude. People listen to you, even if you have like. So my clients I bring in, a lot of them are dead profiles. They have a small following, no following. People
yeah,
listen to them from the get-go because just like how competent their profile looks, the social proof that we put in
yeah,
there. Act, even if you feel like people don't listen to you, act like people listen to you.
yeah, I get
Hang
you.
on every single word that you say, you'll get a lot like further with that
Yeah,
type of
yeah, I get you.
mentality. And I think, I think you've done really, really well, especially for your age. And I think you're cutting yourself a little short there. I'm very
Yeah, I get you.
self-judgmental as well. Like I'm working on that right now. But I think just something to
Yeah,
be aware of for you potentially. You know,
100%. Yeah,
I
I
listen to you.
mean,
I really like your content. I listen to you. You're an authoritative figure on LinkedIn, and
yeah.
I think that's worth something.
Yeah, I mean that's what I want to do, but obviously I want to get to a level where I can charge like obviously at the moment I'm not going to charge huge and huges because I'm trying to, build up my client profile, build up my results, stuff like that. But with
Mhm.
the heuristic side, like I was my whole goal in the future is obviously to take those 80 different heuristics and actually apply examples of those for each and every industry. But I'll send them over and you'll see what I mean because it's a lot of value, but obviously
Great.
you're yeah, yeah, it's a lot. Like you'll get a lot, but just out of curiosity, so obviously you get most of your DMs, you get most of your book calls. Obviously, you have your Facebook group, you have your Twitter, and you have your LinkedIn. What gives you the most book calls?
Dude, I do not track that right now. So
Oh,
that's something I'm working on. It's brand new. It's in the roadmap, getting really, really good data analytics, but I don't track that. What gets the most calls from you though, if I had to guess? It's definitely not YouTube, because that we're just starting up here, about 1,200 subscribers, I think, just starting that up. It's definitely the Facebook group for sure and the LinkedIn, but I think Twitter's pretty damn solid too. So I know LinkedIn has the most outbound potential as well. with
Yeah.
everything. So I just got my appointment set on my offer a few weeks ago, and he's been going crazy. And LinkedIn, with what I do, easily book like 30 to 50 calls a month. My target
Yeah,
client's so
that
active on
makes
the
sense.
platform. So
Yeah, I mean, like you're doing great. I mean, literally, I see your posts pop up a lot, and obviously, you don't. I'm guessing you don't spend like a huge amount of time building out these different lead magnets. It's more of just like a wake up in the morning post type of content that you like to do.
I don't spend a lot of time, but it's very organized. Like I have a content
Yeah,
list, and it's like, okay, every week, 2 posts a day. I just check it in whenever I write the post.
yeah,
I do 2 lead magnets a week. I try to. I do 2 YouTube videos a week, getting to that point. I do group posts in my Facebook. I do email newsletters, and then I have a content database. So I have like a
yeah,
Notion page where it's like a calendar, and then I have like you can create a new page in a certain date for new pieces of content. Then it like explains what it is. Like I have different labels and the due date and when it's going to be posted and if it's scheduled or waiting or if I'm still writing it. So I have a pretty organized system just because there's a lot of moving parts.
yeah.
And
That
then I
makes
just have my
sense.
social. I write all my content. I barely
Yeah,
use AI, if anything, maybe just to ideate a little bit.
yeah. I get
I
you.
write all my content. I write all my scripts. I write everything. I just have my social media manager post it, actually.
Oh
But I
wow.
plan
Yeah,
on giving that up, honestly. Like content, I feel like if you have a personal brand and you're not writing your own content,
yeah. It's just like it's not authentic.
yeah, right. That's like and people think it's you and you're kind
Yeah.
of lying to everyone. But
I yeah.
that's what I do for my own clients. So I mean, I'm
Yeah,
writing
yeah, I
their
get you.
content. So I don't know. As long as it, I guess, they have a hand in the process and
Yeah.
they're overlooking everything. That's at least,
That
some.
makes sense. Because I used to do the done for you style of like I did build out all of these things, but I'd also do the content. And I just found it wasn't authentic. Like when I was posting out the content, I was like, I can't be this guy. Like if I'm trying to impersonate him or, say I'm creating content on behalf of him, I find it hard. So that's why I switched and pivoted to just teaching people the exact process I use. And like, yeah, it's been going really well. But yeah, it looks like you've been doing a lot. And recently, like even starting not that long ago and now been able to do quite a lot and build everything up. It's actually really impressive. But yeah, I'd say what like I remember seeing a post that you done recently about like your go-to like the top five niche to like target on LinkedIn. What would you say those are for, let's say, someone that's trying to start up, someone that's trying to, let's say they're obviously trying to build up their profile. What are the top five that you say are the best to generate as much clients as possible?
Your niche has to be active on LinkedIn. Like if you're getting 15% connection request accepted rate, that's going to be really tough for you to grow and actually get clients off that. So I would definitely say B2B SaaS. I would definitely say founders of online businesses, meaning coaching, consulting, agencies, service-based businesses. Um, Recruiting, absolutely. Salespeople are super, super active on LinkedIn. They're trying to get a job, they're networking, they're consuming content, posting content. And then the finance space actually is really great as well. Investing, the VC space, even real estate. Um, yeah, those five spaces are incredibly active on LinkedIn. What I find to be less active is like brick and mortar. A lot of like e-com,
Yeah,
or that's not brick and mortar. E-com though is a little bit less active. Brick and mortar,
yeah,
if you're working, like if
like
you're trying to
construction
target
companies.
restaurant owners or like
Yeah,
apparel store owners or
yeah,
dentists, LinkedIn is significantly tougher. Like you want, if your audience is online and they're business minded, they will probably be on LinkedIn. But a lot of these brick and
yeah,
mortar are more old school and they're not as addicted to the online space as you and I are, Freddie. So you want to probably aim to like a 35-40% connection request accepted rate with an optimized profile, with content going out. If you're at that point and you basically take if you're at that point, that's what I qualify for on sales calls. Like if you're getting 35-40% connection request accepted rate, you follow the DM frameworks that I talk about, like you will get a good amount of clients and make it worth your while.
yeah. So what would you say is like the process for actually like building a good list? Do you use Sales Navigator or do you just use the typical search?
Both Sales Nav. We do Dripify to automate the connection request. If we don't get at least a 40% connection request accepted rate, we do it manually. So that's what I tell all my clients. Like, if you're not getting a good connection request accepted rate with Dripify, do it manually because you're going to get a better connection request accepted rate manually every single time because you're vetting every single prospect rather than, hey, let's crack open this sales navigator. Let's put a bunch of filters in. Let's get a list of 100 to 1,000, couple thousand people, and let's automate it. You're not really looking at everyone's profile.
Yeah.
So maybe 85 to 90% of the people you reach out to are going to be good fits on that list. You can't hope for 100%. It's just almost, it's like impossible. As long as 85, 90% is fine. But if you go out and do it manually and take advantage of like the LinkedIn rabbit hole, I call it. So you find like 3 to 5 people that are in your ICP, send them a connection request to the right. It's going to have people you may know. This little sidebar thing. It's going to recommend like 20, 30 profiles
Oh yeah.
that are similar to them. Sometimes they're similar. Sometimes a good amount of them are in your ICP. Sometimes they're not. So also when you connect with someone under it, there's like a whole bunch of new people. It's like you get a little page you can open up that are related to that person. So you find like 5 people that are in your ICP through search or whatever, someone's connections that's in your ICP or that services your ICP. Find like 3 to 5 people and then just start going down the rabbit hole of like recommended profiles and recommended profiles of recommended profiles of recommended profiles. And that's a really good way to do it. And you want to look for people that one have invested a little bit into LinkedIn. Like if they have a nice banner, if they have a nice profile picture, they obviously thought about their tagline. They posted content recently. Um, they invested in writing their profile, making it look nice. Like those are the people that you want to reach out to more than people who don't post content, maybe don't have a profile picture, didn't invest anything into their profile picture, don't have a banner, whatever, have like the city skyline as the banner. The more they invested into their profile, the more active they are on LinkedIn, the higher chance you have of getting them onto a call. So those are things you want to look for. You can do that in a way with a sales navigator search, but you could do that much in a much more targeted way, doing it manually.
Yeah, that's a lot of you're really spilling like everything. That's yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, but yeah, I'd say damn that's really impressive. And then for like creating content, do you have like a specific structure? Because I see like a lot of people like Laura Acosta, Matt like a Jeff, they have like a specific style or structure that they do every post. Do you like to mix it up? Do you just like, you know what, just speak from like, you know, just value in just general? Or do you have like one of those structures where it's like hook, explain, CTA or CTE, that sort of stuff?
I think it's good to keep authenticity alive in your content. It's good to have a unique voice. I don't like the copycat, ambiguous content. I like specific content that's skimmable, that's relevant, that's very specific, that uses numbers, that uses dates, that uses parentheses and quotations, and is easy to read, and sounds unique. Like for me, I write my content in a way where you could literally remove my name and profile picture from the post, and you could just read the post, and people are going to be like, "Oh, that's Ty Frankel." Like that's obvious. That's Ty Frankel. A lot of people don't have a unique voice, and I mean, it harms them at the end of the day. The key is specificity equals trust. The more ambiguous you are, the less results you quote in your content, the less you open up about your own life and specific stories and situations and examples, right? Examples of your results, examples for me, examples of DMs that we sent, examples of calls that we booked, examples of how much revenue we made a client and how long. The less trust you build with your prospects. And I see so many people just like posting, here's how you write a LinkedIn post. First thing is the CTA, or first thing is the hook, then there's the explanation, then there's the C. And it's like, dude, anyone could have written this post. It's so ambiguous, it's so unspecific,
Yeah.
so like cookie cutter AI BS, and that's the exact opposite of what I do, and that's the exact opposite of what I teach. So
Yeah.
definitely find your own voice and definitely be as specific as possible. Make it skimmable. Tell
Yeah.
stories, teach, inspire, add value, use visuals in maybe 20 to 30% of your posts. And definitely have a post from time to time that's longer form, that like gets super fucking specific and gives examples and talks about tangible results and why this worked and why this didn't work. And we got a 3.7 row X ROAS from this campaign. We got a 3.1 X ROAS from this campaign. And here's the difference because we use this copy in a different way. We hit these different psychological triggers with the prospect in a different way. Like That's how you build trust. You don't build trust by being like super ambiguous. Like you need to have some content that's like very granular and specific. Like I that's what I recommend and that's what I really feel and know is the right way to go. Every post
Yeah.
doesn't need to be like that, but the more specific you can get, the better. And just
Yeah.
make it readable, make it skimmable.
Yeah, because you're right there. Because I found that like this is full transparency. I did I was trialing testing. Like I'd been on the platform doing DMs on LinkedIn a lot, but I didn't actually create content. When I started creating content, I actually like paid for like obviously to learn from one of these like so-called or like people or experts in the space, and I found that I was just like following a structure and I wasn't actually learning to like speak like how I actually did. And on my first post. Now I'm starting to try get back into doing it, and obviously it's not doing like I'm trying to speak more of like what I feel, sort of more of like how I come across, and trying to create my own style. Because when I first started creating content, and one of my best posts was literally me just like, here's how you can be a cold email SDR, and I just showed it. And I was just like, do this, do this, do this. And I literally made a whole YouTube video. People are like commenting, like, oh, send me the link. And then I just made it and I got like a load of views and a load of people watch it. And I was like, wow, I need to take that. And then I did another photo of me in a suit and I had a banana pretending to cold call. And I was like, oh, 700 calls, zero meetings. And I got so many people like DM me, like, oh, I love the story. I love the grind. And like some people that were like SMMAs at the time, which is who I was helping out, they were like, oh, I understand. I used to do that. I still do that. Like, can you help me with LinkedIn? And I was like, I got you. And then that made me sign the most clients through those posts. And I feel like lately, obviously, I feel like I'm giving out the value like the typical LinkedIn algorithm likes, but it's just not really coming towards like my own writing style. So I think I do need to take a page out of your book with that because I find, yeah, that's really important. Like writing
Yeah.
how you would write, not how someone would want you to write.
Yeah. And you know what I do? I always speak my DMs and I speak my posts out. So you want to be conversational, friendly, not be super like professional. Like our hyper targeting systems have helped to develop 32 different like dude,
Yeah.
no one like is gonna read that. So just speaking what you post and speaking your DMs. Like I tell my clients this all the time. Say your DMs and type what you say and be conversational and be friendly and be unique and be different and be captivating and interesting and sound different than everyone else. And have a unique personality like that really shines through and how you do that is really over time. Like I know in music,
Yeah.
if you're a musical artist, let's say you're an R&B artist, right? Michael Jackson's an inspiration, Chris Brown's an inspiration, Genuine's an inspiration, Backstreet Boys, let's say, is an inspiration. I'm going to sound like those people when I first start out because I'm literally just copying them. But over time, 3 months go by, 6 months, a year, 2 years go by, and I really get better and I learn what about them I like and I learn what to incorporate, what to leave out. And I take this piece, this thing, and I innovated in this way. And now I apply that to my writing. As an artist, you sound like other big artists that inspire you when you start out, but you develop slowly but surely, you develop your own sound. And I definitely very strongly feel like that's the same way with your writing style. At first, you might copy this person and that person, you might sound very similar to them, whatever. But you learn what works, you learn what you like to do. Different writing it has ad libs, right? So if you know rappers have ad libs, like Big Sean, for example, is like boy, boy. The different rappers have these different like little background vocals
Yeah.
say. So it's the same thing with writing where you have ad libs. Like there are words and phrases that you repeat over and over and over again. And then that gives you like a very, very important piece of your uniqueness. And also what you want to do, you want to develop at least 2 to 3 USPs, phrases that are words that you created that explain your thought process and how you think about the world. So for me, I have like a good amount multi-thread conversations, DMing people on LinkedIn where you DM them and touch on business and personal, right? A multi-thread conversation to get a better reply rate, book more calls. I have a restrained compliment. DMing people when you compliment them, obviously when you're doing outreach, you need to give them a compliment to show you've done research, whatever. Don't compliment them in a way that's overly enthusiastic and excited. Restrain it. Restrain your excitement a little bit. Restrain compliment. So I have a bunch of these, but if you have like 2 or 3 or 5 of these, that you repeat over and over again in your post, you have that unique voice. You can build lead magnets around them. You can build pieces of your program or service around them. That's going to do a lot to separate you from everyone else.
Yeah, that's really interesting because like I actually done this. So when I first like that for me got actually shot down before because before I done like a done for you style thing and I was building out like this whole system and proposal and I was building it out because like I like basketball, right? And I was naming like each of these like DMs like the half court shot, like the 3 pointer, stuff like this. It was really cool because when I actually got this into plan and I started hiring out the setters loved it. But then they were like, oh, like you got to be serious. You got to be like, I was like, oh, but like everyone else was like really on board. They were like, oh, I love this style. I love the way you're having this. And then another thing is I actually, like at the moment, like not that long ago, I actually stopped. I turned down working with him. But basically, there, I'm not gonna say who it is, but it was this big influencer on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, and they were like blowing up. They have like millions of followers. And I remember I was on LinkedIn and I reached out to him and I was like, look, I just wanted connections at this point, and wasn't coaching, but I just was like, oh, I'll do this for you. And then I started, building out this thing for him, and then it came to the point where it's like I wanted to him to incorporate his own style, but he didn't really care about the style. He just cared about content, money, pushing this out, and he had like a closed paradigm, and I was like, I just got shut off. So that's why like recently my content hasn't been great, and now I like this. This is like revived me, sort of like thinking like I got to get back to me talking about the 3 pointers and the half court shots because that's what I used to name some of my DMs. I'm like with one of my business partners, I was like, oh, it doesn't matter if someone just says no to you, like just shoot those half court shots. If you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't. That's why I want to incorporate that sort of style and stuff like that. So I really resonate with that.
Amazing. I love that. I love that.
But yeah, perfect. Anyway, um, there's a lot of value, and I had a list of questions, and I've gone through all of them, and I've now just trying to make more and more, but I literally can't think of any. But there is a load of value, and obviously we've been on this call for about an hour now, and I don't want to, take up too much of your time, but it was amazing having you on here, and yeah, that's probably one of the best value. I'm going to turn this into a lead magnet because it is
Absolutely.
worth it. But yeah, it was amazing speaking to you. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And if you're watching this, buy his book a call with Ty. Like if this hasn't convinced you to book a call, I would suggest really booking a call because the value you're giving out is amazing. And yeah, have a good day.
Have a great night, Freddie. We'll be in touch.
Yeah.